The headlights had been gone for over an hour when the silence started to feel alive. By then it was past 1 in the morning, and I was sitting in the driver's seat of our dead car, staring out at the empty 2-lane road stretching into forever. The world felt abandoned, carved out of blackness except for the pale wash of moonlight. Carter had walked off in search of a gas station, promising he'd be back in no time. But no time had become 60 minutes, and every creak of the cooling engine made me flinch. My phone screen glowed in my lap. No signal bars. No messages. I tried calling Carter 5 times, each one falling flat into silence. I told myself it was fine. He was walking. Maybe the station was farther than the map had suggested. Maybe he was taking his time. But deep down, I felt something gnawing. Something wasn't right. Then I saw the lights. Not Carter's. Not the steady glow of a returning friend. These headlights slid into view from far down the road. Slow. Deliberate. Creeping along like an animal sniffing out prey. I froze. Pulse spiking. My hands tightened on the steering wheel though the car was powerless, as if gripping it could anchor me. The Vehiclean old truck, dark and mud-stained, slowed as it neared. Too slow. My stomach twisted. No one drives like that at 1 in the morning on an empty road unless they're looking for something. Or someone. The truck passed me once. Its engine grumbled, low and guttural, and I caught a glimpse of the driver's silhouette, wide shoulders, head turned toward me, lingering too long. My throat went dry. Then the truck went another 50 yards before turning around. The sight of those taillights flaring red in the night was like watching a predator circle. I ducked lower in the seat, heart pounding so loud it drowned out every other sound. The truck crawled back toward me, headlights flooding through the windshield, bleaching the world white. It rolled past again, slower this time. I couldn't see the driver's face, just the dark outline of someone who should have kept going but didn't. I waited and waited. The night stretched into unbearable silence. Then the truck turned around again. A cold sweat broke down my spine. He was circling. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands and dialed Carter again. 1 ring. 2. My lungs felt like they were shrinking. On the 4th ring, someone picked upon it wasn't Carter's voice I heard first. It was the heavy sound of breathing. Then Carter, his voice urgent, whispering, "Don't say anything. Just listen." My chest tightened. "Carter, shut up and listen," he hissed. His voice was so low I could barely hear him. "Get out of the car. Now. Don't stand. Crawl. Stay low." I froze. "What are you talking about? Where are you?" The phone crackled. I heard the distant crunch of grass, the rush of breath, then Carter's whisper again, jagged and terrified. He stopped me, said he'd give me a ride. When I said no, he followed me. I ran. I dropped my phone on purpose. I'm hiding in the field across from the road. He's still out there, looking for me. The truck's headlights washed across the inside of our car again. My body locked up. He was coming back. "Lie flat," Carter whispered. "Do not let him see you." I slid out of the driver's seat, my knees hitting gravel. The cold bit into my palms as I crawled beneath the car, pressing myself into the dirt. The truck slowed, rumbling closer, the headlights cutting across the field. I held my breath, praying the shadows hid me. The truck idled. Its engine growled like something alive, lingering, waiting. I could hear my own pulse in my ears, my chest screaming for air. Any second, I imagined boots hitting gravel, the creak of a door, a stranger's face bending down. Then the truck rolled forward again, tires crunching slow, deliberate. Carter's whisper hissed through the phone, softer than the grass. "Stay there. Don't move. He's trying to flush us out." I closed my eyes. Every instinct screamed to run. But I knew Carter was right. The way that truck circled, the way the driver lingered at it wasn't random. It wasn't innocent. It was hunting. Minutes felt like hours. The truck passed back and forth, headlights sweeping across the empty road, pausing each time as if sniffing for movement. I pressed my face into the dirt, fighting every urge to cough, to shift, to prove I was alive. Finally, the sound faded. The engine grew smaller, distant, until silence swallowed the night again. I crawled out from under the car, my body trembling. My palms were scraped raw, my jeans stained with gravel dust. "Carter," I whispered into the phone. "Where are you?" His voice came back, ragged. "Field to the west. Just look for the fence line. Stay low. Run when I say run." I turned, scanning the darkness. Across the road, moonlight caught on barbed wire running along the edge of a wide field. Beyond it, only tall grass swaying. And somewhere inside that field, Carter was hiding. I stepped out, heart hammering, when headlights suddenly exploded back over the road. The truck had looped around again. "Down." Carter hissed through the phone. "Get down now." I dropped flat onto the gravel, chest slamming the road, stones biting into my skin. The truck rolled slow, so slow, its beams crawling across the field, across the road, across the spot where I lay. The light washed over me. My breath stilled. My body begged to flinch, but I stayed rigid, praying the stillness would make me part of the earth. Seconds dragged. Then the beams passed. The truck kept going. The silence afterward felt louder than the engine itself. Carter's whisper cut in, "Run. Now." I pushed off the road and bolted for the field, legs pumping, lungs searing with cold night air. The barbed wire flashed ahead. I dove, catching the fence, scraping my arm as I rolled into the tall grass. Hands grabbed me, Carter's hands, trembling but strong, and yanked me down. We both collapsed flat, grass swallowing us whole. I turned, gasping. His face was streaked with sweat and dirt, his eyes wide, wild. "What the hell is going on?" I rasped. Carter shook his head. His voice was a broken whisper. "He wanted me in his truck. When I refused, he followed me. He won't stop." The distant hum of the engine drifted back again. The truck hadn't gone far. We pressed ourselves deeper into the grass, every blade a curtain between us and the predator on the empty road. The grass swallowed us whole, but it also betrayed us with every twitch and rustle when the wind died down. We lay flat, our hearts slamming so loud I swore the man in the truck could hear them from the road. The hum of the engine drifted closer, headlights sweeping, searching, the beams cutting across the fence line like knives of white fire. Carter's hand pressed down hard on my arm. His whisper was almost inaudible. "Don't move. He's looking for us." Through a thin gap in the grass, I saw the truck crawl along the road. It slowed near our car, brake lights flaring. The driver sat there, idling, waiting. Then the truck crept forward again, inching along the barbed wire as though he knew we were inside the field. Every muscle in my body screamed to run, but Carter's grip kept me down. He had been chased longer. He knew the rhythm of the predator. The truck stopped. Its headlights burned directly into the grass where we lay hidden. My lungs seized. The glare felt alive, like it could peel the stalks back and expose us. Carter's breath shuddered in the dark, his fingers digging into my sleeve until they hurt. The driver did not move for what felt like forever. Then a sound split the night, the creak of a door. He was getting out. The slam echoed like a gunshot. Boots crunched against gravel. Deliberate. Measured. The sound crossed the road, growing louder, heavier, until I swore he was right at the fence. I shut my eyes, praying. Carter's voice was a breath against my ear. Don't lift your head, no matter what. The footsteps reached the wire. Metal rattled softly, as if a hand had grabbed hold. My stomach turned to ice. The man stood there, breathing. I could hear it, ragged and close. The inhale and exhale of someone savoring the silence. Then, faintly, a voice. Low, drawling. I know you're in there. My blood froze. Carter's nails dug so deep into my arm I thought he'd break skin. Neither of us moved. The man laughed. Not a loud laugh, but a rasping, satisfied chuckle, as though the night itself had whispered a joke only he understood. Then came the crunch of boots again, retreating slowly. The engine roared back to life. The truck idled, waited, then rolled forward once more. I exhaled so hard it almost broke into a sob. Carter yanked my shoulder. Don't make a sound. We stayed flat as the grass shifted with the night breeze, staring up at the slice of stars above. The truck patrolled like a shark, circling, doubling back, headlights dragging across the field again and again. Finally, after what felt like hours, the sound began to fade. The lights grew smaller, swallowed by the horizon. Still, Carter didn't move. Not for 10 more minutes. He only lay there, trembling, eyes wide. Then he finally whispered, "He'll come back. We can't stay here." "Where do we go?" My voice cracked against my will. He pointed deeper into the field, where darkness stretched toward a faint glow in the far distance. "That's the station. We just have to reach it. Quiet. Slow." We crawled. Every inch was agony. Grass slicing our arms. Rocks digging into our knees. Insects skittering across our skin. Behind us, the road loomed like a river of black glass. Empty but never safe. Halfway through, Carter's phone vibrated in his pocket. The faint buzz felt deafening. He cursed under his breath and shut it off, his hand shaking. "He's trying to spook us," he whispered. "Block number. Probably." We pushed forward, belly to dirt, until our muscles ached. The glow of the gas station grew larger, a faint rectangle of fluorescent light, promising salvation. Then we heard it again. The growl of the engine. My heart collapsed. We dropped lower into the grass as beams cut across the field once more. The truck had circled back. Carter hissed, "Stay down." The lights swept dangerously close. I pressed my face into the dirt, biting my tongue to stay silent. The truck slowed, then idled again. And then music. A radio blared from inside the cab. A country song distorted by the crackle of old speakers. Played for a moment, then cut off abruptly, like a signal. The silence that followed was worse than the sound. Run. Carter breathed suddenly. Now. He's toying with us. If we wait, he'll find us. We burst from the grass, sprinting low, crashing through the stalks like panicked animals. The gas station light was clearer now, a glowing beacon across the dark field. My lungs burned. My legs screamed. Behind us, the truck roared, headlights spinning, swinging toward us. Faster. Carter shouted. The grass whipped my face, each step heavier than the last. My body wanted to collapse, but terror shoved me forward. The engine gunned. Tires screeched. He had seen us. Carter grabbed my arm, yanking me sideways into a ditch that cut through the field. We tumbled hard, dirt exploding around us. The truck's headlights soared past above, sweeping the ditch without catching us. We lay there, gasping, mud soaking into our clothes. Carter clutched my shoulder. His voice was raw, nearly broken. He's not going to stop. He wants us scared. He's feeding on it. I looked at him, and for the first time all night, I saw real fear in Carter's eyes, the kind that admits survival isn't guaranteed. The truck slowed, circling again. We stayed buried in the ditch, watching the beams comb the field. Minutes passed. Then, without warning, silence. The engine cut off. We froze. No rumble. No lights. Just stillness. Oppressive and wrong. Carter's whisper was jagged. That's worse. Much worse. He's on foot. My veins turned to ice. We crouched, ears straining. Then we heard a faint crunch of boots. Not on gravel now, but on earth. Inside the field. He was hunting us in the dark. Carter gripped my wrist. We move now. Quiet. Toward the station. If he sees us, we run and we don't stop. We climbed from the ditch, crouched low, and crept through the grass. Each step was torture, every rustle sounding like thunder. Behind us, the footsteps paused, then resumed, deliberate and unhurried. The station light glowed brighter. Maybe half a mile now. Close. Then Carter stopped cold, yanking me down. Ahead, between us and the glow, stood a silhouette. Broad, motionless, waiting. The man. He had cut us off. My stomach dropped. Carter swore under his breath, pulling me back into the grass. He knew. He predicted it. The figure stood there for a long moment, then lifted something shiny. Not a gun knot that I could tell, but metal that caught the moonlight. He tapped it against his leg. A slow, steady rhythm. Clink, clink, clink. A signal. A message. My throat closed. Carter leaned close, his whisper trembling. We can't go straight. We'll flank him. Left side. Stay low. We veered sideways, deeper into the field. The grass thickened, harder to push through. Every step risked a sound. My heart hammered like a drum. Then, in the distance, Headlights flared again. Not from the truck. From the gas station parking lot. A car had pulled in. Salvation. We bolted, abandoning stealth, crashing through the grass with everything we had left. Behind us, a shout tore through the night, a guttural, furious bellow. The man was running now. The station glowed closer. Closer. So close I could taste the safety. A car door slammed at the lot. Voices shouting. We exploded from the grass, stumbling across gravel, lungs searing. The gas station doors slid open, fluorescent light bathing us. Help! Carter screamed, his voice raw. Call the cops. Please. Two men inside jerked back in shock, one fumbling for a phone. We barreled through the doorway, collapsing against the counter, gasping, trembling. The station attendant stared, wide-eyed. What the hell happened to you kids? Carter's hand slammed the counter. There's a manha followed us trying to kill us. Call the police now. Behind us, the parking lot was empty. The night stretched silent, undisturbed. The truck, the man, gone, vanished like smoke. The police arrived 20 minutes later, lights flashing red and blue across the lonely station parking lot. Carter and I sat on the curb, shivering despite the heavy night air. Our clothes were streaked with dirt, our arms raw with cuts from the grass. The adrenaline had drained from me, leaving only exhaustion and a sick churn in my stomach. Two deputies stepped out of the cruiser, one older with a thick mustache, the other young and tight-jawed. They walked toward us with the kind of pace that said they already had doubts before we even opened our mouths. The older one, Deputy Harlan, according to his badge, squinted at us. Station clerk says you boys think you were chased out in the fields. That right? Yes, Carter said instantly, his voice sharp, trembling but forceful. A guy in a truck. He circled us, got out, tried to follow us on foot. He cut us off before we made it here. Harlan's eyes flicked to me. You confirm that? Yes, I said, though my voice was smaller than Carter's. I glanced at the field, black and endless beyond the parking lot lights. He was there. He was hunting us. The younger deputy, Mason, muttered something under his breath. Harlan shot him a look before turning back to us. Did you see a weapon? No, Carter admitted. But he was carrying something metal. Shiny. He was tapping it against his leg. He chased me before, when I went for gas. He tried to get me into his truck. Harlan let out a long sigh, like he'd heard variations of this story before. Son, there's no gas station for at least 8 miles in either direction. How'd you get out there without him catching you? Carter stiffened. I ran into the grass. He followed me with his truck. I dropped my phone when I hid. That's when he circled back. Harlan scribbled in a small notebook, but his expression didn't shift. Mason finally spoke, voice flat. Sounds like you kids spooked yourselves. Empty roads, low fuel, late hour. Imagination can play tricks. No, I snapped, startling even myself. We both saw him. He was there. He followed us. You think we did this to ourselves? I held out my scratched arms, my trembling hands. Mason didn't flinch. I think people panic in the dark. See what they expect to see. Carter stood, fists balled. You think we ran through that field for fun? You think we screamed for help because we were bored? His voice cracked. He wanted us. He was going to take us. The clerk behind the glass shifted uncomfortably, eyes darting between us and the deputies. Harlan raised a hand. All right. Easy. No one's saying you made it up. We'll drive the road. Shine the lights across the fields. See if we spot your guy or his truck. But if he's as determined as you say, chances are he'd be long gone by now. The hollow certainty in his voice made my stomach twist. Long gone. Or close enough to be watching us right now. Carter shook his head furiously. He's out there. I know it. The deputies returned to their cruiser, pulling out toward the road. Carter paced the lot, running his hands through his hair, his breath uneven. What if they don't find him? I asked quietly. They won't. He muttered. Guys like that don't get caught unless they want to. He knew where we were, every move we made. He's done this before. The thought hollowed me out. Minutes dragged. The fluorescent hum of the station lights gnawed at my ears. The clerk tried to offer us water, but my throat was too tight to swallow. Carter leaned against the wall, eyes locked on the horizon. Finally, the cruiser returned, dust curling in its headlights. The deputies stepped out, and one glance told me everything. Nothing. Harlan said simply. Drove 5 miles both ways. No trucks. No pedestrians. No tire marks leading into the fields. Just quiet roads. Carter laughed bitterly, a sound more like a sob. Of course you didn't. He knew you were coming. He's not stupid. Mason crossed his arms. Or maybe there was never anyone there. That did it. Carter stormed toward him, eyes blazing. You think we cut ourselves up? You think I left my phone in a field for no reason? Go find it. It's still out there buzzing with missed calls. Or maybe he has it now. Mason held his ground, jaw tight. But Harlan put a hand on his shoulder, murmuring something low before turning back to us. We'll file a report, he said finally. Keep an eye on the area tonight, just in case. But boys, best thing you can do is get home. Get some rest. Exhaustion can make shadows into monsters. Carter swore under his breath, turning away. I felt my chest cave in, the fragile hope I'd clung to collapsing. They didn't believe us. The deputies left, the cruiser's lights vanishing down the road. Carter slammed a fist against the brick wall of the station, then doubled over, his shoulders shaking. He'll do it again. He whispered hoarsely. To someone else. Or us. Next time. He won't miss. I put a hand on his back, but he jerked away. His eyes were wild, haunted. We can't just let it go. We have to do something. The clerk cleared his throat nervously from behind the glass. You two can hang here till morning if you want. Safer with lights. But maybe try not to rile up the deputies again. They don't like being told off. Carter ignored him, pacing in tight circles. I felt the weight of the night pressing down, thicker than before. Because Carter was right. The man wasn't gone. He was waiting. We sat inside the gas station lobby, watching the empty road through wide glass windows. Every pair of headlights that appeared in the distance made my heart leap. But most turned out to be long-haul trucks barreling past. their drivers oblivious to the terror stitched into this place. At 3 a.m., Carter finally slumped into a chair, his head in his hands. I couldn't close my eyes. Each second dragged, stretching thin, the memory of boots on dirt replaying in my head. When dawn finally bled across the horizon, I almost cried. The clerk yawned and unlocked the outside pumps, the world returning to its casual, uncaring rhythm. Carter and I stepped into the pale morning light, our car still stranded a mile down the road. The thought of going back toward it turned my stomach. But we had no choice. We walked in silence, the road stretching endless and bare. Each crunch of gravel underfoot felt like an echo of the night before. When we reached the car, my breath caught. It wasn't the same. The doors were open. The glove compartment dumped across the seat. Our bags spilled onto the ground. Someone had been inside. Carter froze, his face drained of color. He bent, picking up one of his shirts from the dirt. His hands shook. He came back. He went through everything. I circled to the trunk. It hung open too, our belongings tossed like trash. But worse than the mess was what sat on the hood. A single object. Carter's phone. Sitting upright. Screen cracked. Buzzing faintly with a dead battery. He hadn't dropped it in the field after all. The man had left it here. Carter stared at the phone as if it were a venomous snake. His lips parted, breath stuttering, but no words came. My own throat was dry, my heartbeat echoing against my ribs so loudly I swore the whole countryside could hear it. "This isn't possible," I whispered. "You lost it in the field. I saw it buzzing in the grass. You said you dropped it." "I did," Carter said hoarsely. He backed away from the hood, as though the phone might leap at him. "I dropped it when he was chasing me. I remember the vibration, the screen lighting up against the dark. I left it there." Then how? My words dissolved into the wind. I didn't need to finish. We both knew the answer. The man had it. The predator. He'd gone back, picked it up, and returned here while we hid at the gas station. He'd stood over our car, rifled through our things, and when he was finished, he'd placed the phone as if marking his territory. A message, unspoken but clear. "I know where you were. I know where you'll be." Carter swore violently, kicking at the gravel until his foot throbbed. "He's toying with us," he said, voice cracking. "He wants us to know he's close. He wants us to feel it." My stomach knotted, bile rising in my throat. I scanned the horizon. Empty fields, endless road. But emptiness meant nothing. He could be there anywhere, watching from a ditch, from behind a tree line, crouched low in the grass with that crooked smile waiting for us to turn our backs. "We need to get out of here," I said, voice shaking. "Forget the stuff. Forget everything. We just need to move." But the tank was still bone dry. The gauge needle sat stubbornly at 0. Carter's hands trembled as he shoved the bags back into the trunk with frantic, jerky movements. "We drive it on fumes if we have to. I don't care if the engine dies in the middle of town. I'm not staying on this road." I tried to argue but stopped. There was no fight left in me. The thought of remaining here another second was unbearable. We pushed the car back onto the asphalt, Carter behind the wheel while I steered. He turned the key. The engine coughed, shuddered, and then roared reluctantly to life. I nearly sobbed at the sound. Go, I whispered. Just go. The car lurched forward, rattling like it might tear itself apart. But it moved. The empty fields blurred past, the sun climbing higher, bathing the world in deceptive warmth. For a fleeting moment, I let myself believe we'd made it, that the nightmare was sealed back into the night where it belonged. But then I saw it. In the side mirror. A truck. Dark. Dented. Crawling onto the road from a hidden dirt path. Carter caught the look on my face before I could speak. He twisted the wheel, nearly sending us into the ditch. But the truck stayed behind. Steady. Patient. As if it had been waiting for us all along. No. Carter breathed. His knuckles whitened around the steering wheel. No. 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 The truck didn't rush. It didn't close the gap immediately. Instead, it lingered a dozen car lengths back, like a shadow that knew we couldn't shake it. Every time Carter pressed harder on the gas, the truck matched him, unwavering. He's playing with us, I whispered. Carter slammed his hand against the wheel. Not again. Not this time. We tore down the road, the engine groaning in protest. The fuel light glared at us, an angry red reminder that time was running out. Minutes blurred. The truck never lost its distance, never drew closer. Just there, always there, watching. Carter's breathing grew ragged. Sweat dripped down his temple, his eyes darting between the road ahead and the mirror. Where's the next town? I asked, my voice breaking. Where can we go? 15 miles, he said. His voice was hollow, hopeless. Maybe less. But we don't have the gas. The needle trembled just above empty. My chest tightened. And then, without warning, the truck surged forward. It ate the distance in seconds. Headlights filling the mirror. Grill flashing like bared teeth. Carter cursed and swerved. Tires screeching as gravel sprayed from the shoulder. The truck matched us, swinging dangerously close, then pulling back, then closing in again, like a predator nipping at prey before the kill. Stop! I screamed. He's going to ram us. Carter jerked the wheel again, nearly losing control. The car fishtailed, but he managed to steady it. My vision blurred from tears I didn't remember spilling. The truck slowed suddenly, drifting back into its shadowed pace, like it wanted to remind us it was in control. Carter let out a strangled laugh, high-pitched and broken. He could end it whenever he wants. He's dragging this out. He's hunting, I whispered. We drove on, silence filling the spaces between our ragged breaths. The road stretched endlessly, the horizon taunting us with no sign of salvation. And then, like a cruel trick, the engine sputtered. Carter slammed his fist on the dash. No. Come on. Not now. The car lurched, stuttered, then died. It rolled to a reluctant stop at the side of the road, the weight of the moment crushing down on us. Silence, except for the steady growl of the truck pulling up behind us. We froze. The door hinges groaned as Carter reached for the handle, but I grabbed his arm. Don't. Stay inside. His chest heaved, eyes wild. If we stay, we're dead. If we run, maybe. The truck idled behind us, close enough for its engine to rumble through the seat. The driver's door creaked open. A foot hit the ground. Carter ripped his arm free. Run. We bolted into the field, the tall grass swallowing us whole. My lungs burned as I sprinted, every step tearing against the cuts already lining my legs. Carter's breathing ragged beside me, his figure weaving through the green and gold. Behind us, footsteps. Heavy. Deliberate. I didn't dare look back. The grass slapped my face, my arms, the earth uneven underfoot. The world blurred into sound and pain and the certainty that if I slowed, I'd feel his hands on me. Carter dove low, dragging me down beside him. We collapsed into the grass, heaving, trying to bury ourselves in its cover. My chest screamed for air, but I forced myself to stay still. Footsteps. Closer now. Crunching against dry stalks. Then silence. I clamped my hand over my mouth, forcing my sobs inward. The air reeked of dirt and sweat and terror. And then, a voice. Carter's voice. Get up. It called. Soft and mocking. My blood ran ice cold. Carter's real body trembled beside me, his eyes wide, his lips pressed shut. The imitation called again, this time from the other side. Come on. Don't hide. My whole body shook. He was mimicking us, playing with us. The sound drifted closer, circling. The grass shivered under unseen steps. Carter leaned close, his lips barely moving against my ear. Don't move. No matter what. We lay frozen as our voice moved around us. Sometimes soft, sometimes cruel, always wrong. The sun was climbing higher, but in that grass, in that moment, it might as well have been midnight again. And I knew deep in my marrow that we weren't making it out unscarred. The voice moved again, slicing through the grass, carrying our names on its tongue like it had been born knowing them. Carter. It crooned, soft and playful. Come on. You're tired of hiding. Carter's body tensed against mine, every muscle locked, his chest rising in shallow jerks as he fought to keep quiet. Then, my own name. Ethan. The way it said it made my stomach clench. Every syllable stretched, the cadence just a little off. It wasn't my name anymore. It was a lure. I pressed my face into the dirt, willing myself to vanish. The ground was warm under the sun, but in that moment it felt like a grave. The grass rattled. Closer. Then silence again. And then a laugh. Low. Broken. Almost human. Carter's hand found mine, gripping tight. It was the only thing keeping me from bolting. Minutes crawled. Sweat dripped into my eyes. My lungs screamed. My body begged to breathe deeper. Move. Do something. But Carter's words echoed in my skull. No matter what. I stayed still. At last, the footsteps receded. The laughter grew faint, drifting toward the road. We didn't move. Not yet. The silence was a trick. I could feel it. Finally, Carter leaned close, whispering so faintly I barely caught it. We wait till the engine starts. Only then. It was torture, lying there in the suffocating heat, the world pressing down. And then, at last the sound came. The truck's engine coughing to life. I thought I'd never be so grateful for that sound. The growl grew steady, tires crunching gravel, fading into distance. Only then did Carter tug my arm. Now. Move. We crawled. Slow. Low. Until the grass thinned and the gas station roof gleamed faintly in the distance. The building looked like salvation. We ran. Every step jarred my bones. But fear pushed me harder than adrenaline ever could. Carter was a blur ahead, waving me on, his voice breaking as he urged me to keep going. The bell above the door jingled as we burst inside. The clerk looked up, startled, his half-eaten sandwich frozen halfway to his mouth. "We need the phone," Carter gasped. "Call the cops now." The man blinked, then scrambled for the receiver. Carter grabbed bottled water off the shelf, shoving it into my hands before collapsing against the counter. As I gulped the water, the world swayed. My legs felt like paper. My throat burned raw. But for the first time in hours, I felt almost safe. Almost. Because in the corner of the window, parked across the street, the truck idled again. The breath froze in my lungs. "Carter." He turned, saw it, and his face drained of color. The clerk stammered into the phone, voice rising. "Yes. Yes. They say they're being followed, yes. Right now's here." But by the time the police sirens wailed in the distance, the truck was gone. Vanished. Like it had never been there at all. We gave statements for hours. The officers exchanged skeptical looks, their pens scratching lazily against their pads. Words like, "maybe just a drunk driver," and "kids spooking themselves," floated around us. But Carter's hands still trembled. His knuckles scraped raw from the fields. My own shirt was torn, stained with sweat and dirt. These weren't the marks of a story. They were proof. Not that anyone cared. By late afternoon, the cruiser dropped us at a small-town motel. The cops promised to keep an eye out, their tone dripping with disinterest. The room reeked of stale smoke and mildew. The curtains didn't close all the way, leaving a thin crack of daylight that made me twitch. I sat on the bed, staring at the phone charger I'd borrowed from the clerk. Carter hadn't spoken in nearly an hour. He sat at the edge of the bed, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor like it might swallow him whole. Finally, he whispered. He knew our names. The words hung heavy. I hadn't said it out loud. I'd hoped maybe Carter hadn't noticed. But of course he had. He knew. Carter repeated, his voice breaking. He knew before the cops ever asked us. Before we ever said them in front of him. He knew. I opened my mouth, closed it again. Because what could I say? That it was impossible. That would be a lie. We both knew it wasn't. That night, sleep was a battle I couldn't win. Every creak of the building, every gust of wind rattling the glass, jolted me upright. Each time, I expected to see headlights outside the window, or worse, hear my own voice calling from the shadows. When dawn broke, I was still awake. Carter, too. His eyes were bloodshot, hollow. Neither of us spoke as we packed. The days that followed blurred. The world moved on, but we didn't. We drove through towns and cities, filled the tank religiously, but silence hung heavy between us. Sometimes Carter flinched at ordinary things, a truck passing on the highway, a stranger holding his gaze too long, a phone buzzing in his pocket. Sometimes I did too. We never spoke about it to anyone else. What would we say? That we'd been hunted by something that wore the skin of a man but spoke with voices that weren't its own. That it had toyed with us like prey. No one would believe us. But late at night, when exhaustion wore us down and the silence pressed too heavily, Carter would whisper, "He's still out there." And I'd whisper back, "I know." Because the truth was carved into us now, written in our scars. The predator wasn't gone. It never would be. And every time we drove down an empty road at night, we knew we were still being watched. That summer, we learned something no one should ever have to learn. That evil doesn't always roar or rage. Sometimes, it waits. Patient, deliberate, smiling in the dark. And when it comes, it doesn't just want your life. It wants your fear. It wants the part of you that never stops looking over your shoulder. And it will take it, piece by piece, until you don't recognize yourself anymore. That's the part no cop can put in a report. That's the part we carry alone. Forever.